Thank you, Rita. If someone were to point a gun right now at you, or a weapon of some kind, or at your child if you're a parent, how many of you would have something to say about that by a show of hands? Yeah. So, very few of us would sit back in resignation and say, if it's our time and if it's meant to be, it's okay. So why is it that when it comes to global events that are affecting every aspect of our lives, are we more inclined to take a back seat and be silent? Martin Luther King said that our lives begin to end on the days that we stay silent about the things that matter. And oftentimes we're silent because we're afraid to speak the truth, especially when it comes to people in authority and power. Or we'll speak the truth when it serves us directly. Noticed yesterday I was in a greeting card store looking at cards for Mother's Day. My mother's here sitting in the audience, very honored. And walking through the aisle at the cards, and there's this little New Age section where you see these beautiful cards and images of a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. And we see these images all day long when we open, we turn on the internet, we look at the news feeds on Pinterest and Twitter and Facebook, inspirational images, inspirational quotes of transformation. Transformation is possible. You can do it. You've got the power to succeed. You just need to believe in yourself. And yet notice how unlikely we are to apply that same level of thinking when it comes to the other side. See, we have this us and them mentality. People are dying, but it's okay. It's people on the other side. We're very good at praying for our side, for our people. And my question to you is, at what point are we going to wake up and say, what is going on here? Notice how easy it is for our minds to distinguish between us and them, where we say, well wishes for us are okay, but not for the other side. Our moral outrage is okay when it suits us, but not for the other side. I believe we have a responsibility to honor every single person on this planet. I believe that compassion is the one thing that is lacking in politics today. And yet I wonder, in the deepest part of my heart, how can we complain when we ourselves aren't walking the walk? We are very good at pointing out the wrongdoings in other people, but not so vigilant about pointing out our own darkness, our own shadows. And it's the same on a national level. Very good at monitoring militarism when it comes to other countries, not so good at pointing it out in our own. And so the danger with this pattern of thinking, if we continue to function in this way, is that in the next 100 years, we are paving the way towards the end of civilization as we know it. Now, Gandhi said, if we change ourselves, the tendencies in the world will change also. And so that's the conversation that I'd like to have with you today. That when we awaken individually, we act more powerful collectively. That our challenge now is not to look away, but to look forward, to initiate a new political conversation, a new worldview. We become magnets of change when we don't expect it, but we create it. And I believe we can do it. I believe we have an opportunity right now to create a new chapter in British politics. And all it takes is for us to grow into the people that we can be and to step into our greatness and to kick major ass in the world in a powerful way. Let's not leave it up to Jesus and Moses and Buddha and the Martin Luther Kings and the Gandhis of the world. Let us do it. And let's start now. And so we're here gathered today, and I know that some of you are thinking, Leena, I really want to make a difference in the world. I know I can do something, but I just don't know what. And so we go back to what Gandhi said, that it starts with us. And it started to happen. The tide has started to turn. And we see this at the historic act that happened in August when the majority voted against military weapons. But still there's work to be done. Because now we have a body of people that are saying, oh yeah, the old way of attack, defense is no longer working. But we don't know what the way forward is. And so we go back to one of our wise masters of the past, Einstein, who said, we can't solve the problems of the world with the same level of thinking that we use to create them. And so we need a new way. We need to change the patterns of thinking and seeing and being in this world that have contributed to the problem, and to step into a new reality, a reality that speaks from love. And that means that we recognize that nobody is special, but every single person is special. No one country is special, but every single country is special. We are caught in this mentality of separation. All of our minds right now are joined in the fact that we are disconnected, we're separate from each other. But the reality is that we're all connected. We're all united. And when you think a thought, and when you think a thought, and when you think a thought, it affects the matrix. We affect the whole. And so my invitation to you today is when you go out into the world today, and when you look a human being in the eye, that you see their greatness. You see the light within them. You see that the core of them is goodness. We see in them the light of God. And it doesn't matter if you don't believe in God. You replace the word God with good. It's just another letter. We see the greatness. We see in them the seed of potentiality. Because when we see a human being from that place, recognizing that yes, they've gone through their stuff and their stories, and they've had experiences and made good and bad, however you define them, choices, but still that light exists within them. Maybe it's dimmed a little bit, but that light exists. It has not been extinguished. And in doing that, in that recognition of the heart of another human being, we choose peace. See, up until now, we've been looking at the world saying, well, when the war ends, oh look, there'll be peace. But it's not that when the war ends, there'll be peace. It's that when we choose peace, there will be no war. And in the choosing of peace, we may not know what specific action we have taken that has changed the course of history. But we will know that we contributed because we showed up. And so I invite you today to, in this moment, drop into the center of your heart. And in your mind's eye, see the body, the figure that is Bashar al-Assad, president of Syria. And we see him with all the violence, the brutality that he has created and stirred. And we see also within him that light, that seed of greatness, that seed of potential, which has existed. There was a time before he became president where he said, I believe in a democracy. That seed exists. And so we see that seed, and as we visualize him in our mind's eye, that physical boundary of the body that he has begins to dissolve and begins to melt. And that light within him begins to expand and become brighter and brighter and brighter. And here we see in our mind's eye the figure that is David Cameron. And we see the light in him, and we see and we hold him in his greatness. And we see also the fear that he has inside of him. That if we don't choose military weapons, what else are we going to do? But we also see within him that he has a body of people around him who are now beginning to see that there is another alternative. And we see that light within him begin to brighten as he realizes that there may be another way. And when we see that light begin to brighten, his physical body begins to dissolve, and that light begins to extend outwards. And so we have Bashar al-Assad, and we see his light extending outwards, several feet away from his body, several hundred feet away from his body, several thousand feet away from his body. And we see the light that is David Cameron. And his energy, his light expands and energetically extends several feet away from his body, several hundred feet away from their body, several thousand feet. And those rays of light extend and extend and extend until they energetically meet in the middle, and they commingle, and they unify, and there becomes no separation between where one person starts and another person ends. And as we observe this intermingling, we ourselves, that light within us, begins to expand and extend, and we join this circle of light, this field, this matrix. And every single being begins to unite towards this unified whole. We see the greatness, the light, the potential in others, in our government. They will see the light in the Syrians. And we may get an email or text message from the people of Syria or Assad saying, oh yeah, I'm feeling more loving and peaceful right now. But someone somewhere will put down their gun. Someone somewhere will put down a weapon. We change our minds. They will change theirs. Let's change our minds together. And let's start today. Thank you.